Everything that he did was precise. Everything he did was on time, and he always was a businessman. So, we had a big culture in Terry Hut where everybody used to lift weights. And I never seen this guy in the Charles Hall where a lot of people used to go eat. A lot of people used to go talk business. And this guy, Boy George, I used to think that, I know it was a singer named Boy George, but, I was always thinking that this guy, maybe the name that was people was using on him, they was like, yeah, man, that's Boy George. He's this and that. And Boy George, he was doing this in New York. And I was like, with this guy, I always noticed his discipline. So when I end up leaving Terry Hut, I moved to Atlanta. Then I went to Leavenworth. Then I ended up being in Lompoc. And when I was going to Lompoc, I was in Oklahoma. And when I was in Oklahoma, we was at rec one day. And I think that right before I was on my way to Lompoc, they had a big riot with Tupac, I think it was the girl, she sang with Ice Cube. I forgot her name. Yo-Yo. Yeah, it was Yo-Yo. They had a big riot, and like the Bloods and Crips was fighting because I guess she gave them too much time on the mic. But anyway, I ended up running into one of the guys that was one of the major guys that was into riots. He was out of Vegas. Gunsmoke. I think his name was Gunsmoke. So Gunsmoke I told Gunsmoke, man, meet me on the yard, and I want to talk to him. So when we get to the yard, we talking, and I see this brown faced guy. He looked like he was Puerto Rican, and he was doing push-ups inside the red cage. We was doing push-ups. I was doing push-ups. We was in separate cages, and we just struck up a conversation. I was like, hey man, what's your name? He said, man, my name Boy George. I say, Boy George? I said, oh, okay. I was in Terry Hut with you, but I never seen you. I always heard about you, and I think I got a couple glimpses of you, but I never really seen you. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm Boy George. I said, yeah, man, my name is Fish, man, and I don't want to got into it down there with a couple guys from it. He said, oh yeah, man, I remember that, man. You was real smaller back then. I said, how you know me? How you see me and I never seen you? He said, I seen you, used to see you all the time. I said, is that right? So he's like, yeah, man, you didn't get big, man. I said, yeah, I just came from, Leavenworth, Atlanta. So he was like, yeah, man, I'm on my way to Lompoc. He said, I just left your brother Puncho. I said, oh yeah? He said, yeah, man, I know your brother, man, and me and your brother, we've been friends for a while and stuff. I said, oh, okay. He said, yeah, we was talking about you and stuff like that. I said, okay, man. So it was kind of like an honor to meet Boy George because this guy, man, I ended up running into one of his crime partners. Con was wild, man. I mean, we played on the same baseball team. I played on the baseball team with the Puerto Ricans. And I met Con, and Con always talked about Boy George. And a guy named Sly out of Buffalo, he used to always talk about Boy George. And a lot of guys always talk about Boy George. To make a long story short, we ended up going to Lompoc together. And we was in Lompoc. I used to see him all the time, and we used to always be talking. And he used to always be talking about, different cars he had and different things he used to do. And this is one of the most smartest guys I kind of like met, that was real disciplined. He always read books. He always was talking about stocks and bonds. And he always was talking about, real positive things. And I never really seen him have a bad day. I never really seen him, talking about stuff that's not positive. This guy, he's like a motivator guy. He always would make your day uppity day, because when you see him, you would always see the consistency of his attitude. Even though sometimes he would talk to people and people would get on his nerves, but he was always a humble guy. And I learned a lot from seeing a lot of these different guys from different cities. And you really find out which guys from which cities was the motivators and the guys that move things. But I was always see this guy. He never had a financial problem. He always had, store money and everything like that, shoes, everything like that. So I took a kind of looking at these guys, and I noticed the discipline, and I took a lot out of that, because I never really had a lot of discipline in the ranks, because I was a wild guy. I had life sentences. I was always, into things like that. But I noticed these guys a lot of them was young, but they acted old. They had an old spirit, money-making spirit, a spirit that, make people come together, make people want to, be on a team and stuff like that. I see a lot of guys now, they got people in jail. They want to join these big gangs, and not gangs, but organizations. But this guy, Boy George, man, I read some of his crime partners. I met some of the guys from New York, and they would always talk about Boy George, and they would always say what he was doing and how he was doing it. And he had a car that was more like a car that can get away from anything. And what I really wanted to learn from Boy George is, how could you stay so calm with a life sentence? Because I had just got a life sentence. I had never been locked up before. And, a lot of times, man, I ended up meeting I ended up going to visit one time when he was there, and I seen the discipline not only he had, I seen the discipline that his girlfriend had, his family. And I just really seen he was real family orientated. I seen that the discipline it took to have a relationship with a woman, even though you have a life sentence, even though you have a lot of time. And then it just shows that, man, a guy can really, have a relationship with a woman that is doing a lot of time. And now, as I got out and I done got older, and I'll be praying for a lot of these guys, and I'll be praying that they get out of jail. And now I see that, I hear Fat Joe talk about Boy George. I see the comments on a lot of these podcasts, and I see him talking about Boy George. But the Boy George that I end running into really molded me to be a better guy, into this world. And I don't, take a lot of things for granted. But I see we done got older, and I see how a lot of guys always mention top guys in New York, and they always talk about this guy named Boy George. And I just wanted to let you know the guy that I met, the guy that I end up running into in the feds, because a lot of times people run into guys in the feds, but they don't be around them. They just see them, But I end up talking to this guy. I end up being in a couple joints with him, a couple prisons with him. And the guy that I know, I was a young guy, and I used to always say, I mentioned his name. I said, that's Mr. Boy George, and we know we around the same age, but the way he carried himself was a real thing around other guys that was, on a higher level or a different level we was on. And I'm just glad I'll be able to talk about Boy George. I hope he get out of jail, and I just keep praying for him and his family. Boy George, New York.